Well, hello everyone. This is Carrie Beck with How to Homeschool My Child. Today I want to talk to you a little bit more about joy and what that means and how we can have joy during the holidays when it's busy, busy, crazy, crazy, more hustle and bustle than quiet and rest. And how do we do that? And how do we do it when there's conflict in our family and tension? I talked yesterday about joy and about the shepherds, and there seemed to be a really good reaction to it. And I thank you for your kind comments and about how the shepherds went from fear because the angels were there and they were scared to death. Then they went to joy and going and worshiping Jesus. And then afterwards, the result was praise. I want to talk about one other activity. I've shared a few things. I talked about yesterday also in the presence of the Lord is joy. The joy of the Lord is our strength, and we need to count it all joy so that we can endure trials. And those three go together. So it all starts with the presence of the Lord. But I want to talk to you about one other thing you might consider putting into practice every day. And so I want to tell you that I got this idea from this book. There we go. Born a Child and Yet a King by Nancy DeMoss Wolgemuth. She leads Revive Our Hearts. And she's going through different Christmas carols and talking about them. We've done O Come, O Come, Emmanuel, and two others. I don't recall the title, but I recognize the words. Today we started God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen. So I'm going to read that, and then I'm going to read you some verses, and we're going to talk about one activity that you could do on a regular basis that I think can move you from maybe fear and tension to joy. All right. And so the song goes, God rest ye merry gentlemen. That doesn't mean they're married gentlemen. The comma comes after Mary. So it's God rest you merry gentlemen. And back in the English, Old English, that meant God bless you, gentlemen. So God rest you merry gentlemen. But here's the next part. Let nothing you dismay. Are you dismayed? Are you going through the Christmas season with fear? Are you concerned about all the health issues, the political issues, the strife, the conflict even between families, within families, over what's going on around us? And this song says, let nothing you dismay. So nothing that is bothering us. He says, remember, Christ our Savior was born on Christmas Day. And that's the word I want to talk to you today about. Remember. We need to remember that the world may be falling apart. You may be concerned about things. You may be dismayed about what's going on in your life and your marriage and your kids. But this says, remember that remember Christ our Savior was born on Christmas Day. We need to remember that God sent Jesus to earth to be our Savior. And when we can remember the good works of God, then it takes our focus off of us, off of what's going around us, and it can focus us back on God. And when our focus is back on God, remembering His good works, that is when we can have joy. It also takes us from being self-centered to in the presence of God. And again, we're going upward. And that is what gives us joy. At the end of this, the chorus for this song, God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen, says, "Oh, tidings of comfort and joy, comfort and joy. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy." Y'all would not want me to sing this anyway. So she ends up remembering that when we remember Christ our Savior was born on Christmas Day, that should give us comfort and that should give us joy. I should go ahead and read the rest of this. Remember, Christ our Savior was born on Christmas Day to save us all from Satan's power when we were gone astray. Christ came to save us from his power. Now, I want to read a couple verses that go with this. And the irony is, one of the verses that she suggests is the verse that I actually talk about in my Drama-Free Mom master classes and some of my tools for brokenness and how do we get joy from that. And that is to remember. Psalm 77, 11 through 20. I'm not going to read all of it, but it says, "They are constantly in my thoughts. I cannot stop thinking about your mighty works. Oh God, your ways are holy. Is there any God as mighty as you? You are the God of great wonders. You demonstrate your awesome power among the nations. By your strong arm, you redeemed your people." And just goes on to talk about the good works. The Red Sea saw you, it looked and trembled. The clouds poured down rain. The thunder rumbled in the sky. Your thunder roared from the whirlwind. The lightning lit up the world. The earth trembled and shook. You led your people along the road like a flock of sheep with Moses and Aaron as their shepherds. God worked. And if we can remember, as the Israelites would go back and look back and remember God's good works, then we don't have to be dismayed about everything that's going on here in our life, because we can have joy because our focus is on Jesus. Let me read another section, or let me share this. The other thing I use that goes along with remember is a gratitude journal. So I write down things that I am grateful for that day. And then on bad days or things that I don't really like what's going on, I can go back and see all the good things that God has given me. Again, I am remembering. The word is remember today. Remembering God's good works will bring us joy. Let me read two other little sections I will go quickly through. One is 1 Chronicles 16, starting in verse 8. Give thanks to the Lord and proclaim his greatness. Let the whole world know what he has done. Sing to him, sing his praises. Tell everyone about his wonderful deeds. See what he did. We need to tell everyone about those things. Exalt his holy name. Rejoice, you who worship the Lord. Search for the Lord for his strength. Remember the wonders he has performed, his miracles, and the rulings he has given us. So we need to constantly be looking back at God's good works, the wonders that he has done. And then this story, you probably read it, it's in the gospel, and Jesus is with the disciples, and the disciples are arguing because no one remembered to bring food for dinner that night. And so they're all arguing, and Jesus is just looking at them like, what is wrong with you? It says, the disciples had forgotten to bring any food, and they were crossing over the lake. But Jesus, it says, as they began to argue with each other because they hadn't brought any bread, Jesus knew what they were saying, and he says, why are you arguing about having no bread? Don't you know or understand even yet? Are your hearts too hard to take it in? Your eyes, can't you see? You have ears, can't you hear? Get this. Don't you remember anything at all? When I fed the 5,000 with 5 loaves, how many baskets of leftovers did you have afterwards? And they said 12. And when I fed the 4,000 with 7 loaves, how many large baskets of leftovers did you pick up? They said 7. And Jesus responds, don't you understand yet? You see, right in the middle of their argument of a problem of going hungry or not having food for that meal, Jesus says, remember I fed 5,000 and you had 12 baskets of loaves left over. I fed 4,000 and you had 7 baskets afterwards. And if God is saying that to them, he's saying that to you. Remember the good works that I have done. And when we remember the good works that he has done, then I believe that is when we have joy. We have got to take our focus off our dismay here. God rest you merry gentlemen. Let nothing you dismay. Let's not let anything that is dismaying us, or conflict or brokenness, marriage problems, loss of job, not knowing how we're going to pay the bills. We could go on and on. A friend stabbing us in the back. Politics, you're afraid because one president won or the other one didn't. The candidates, you're afraid of what's going to happen. And so we need to put all of that aside and put our focus on Jesus, and we can do that by remembering his good works. And when we remember, we can go from remembering to joy, just like we can go from fear to joy by remembering in the middle, remembering what God has done. I hope that encourages you a little bit. If you have any other comments about joy and how we can have joy in our life, please leave a comment here. I appreciate that very much. I'm Carrie Beck with How to Homeschool My Child. Y'all have a great day.